Hi there, welcome to the latest episode of my 10-minute moan. The topic of this 10-minute moan is having a look at the excuses given by Kier Starmer for not prosecuting Jimmy Savile when he was the head of the Crown Prosecution Services. Now, this is a thing that I've heard a few times. People saying, he gave special treatment, etc. to Savile, and I had never seen any evidence of it. I didn't disbelieve it. But being someone who wants to run a channel whereby if I tell you something's true, you can take it to the bank, I never felt fully comfortable talking about it until now. Because I picked up in a video on Twitter today that blew the socks off me. It just blew the doors right away, right off any notion that this man is not in some way to blame for Jimmy Savile having never faced a court in his life. Now, what he basically says, well, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll let you watch the video first, and then we can talk about the ifs and whys. So here is Kier Starmer some years ago giving excuses, and the two of them will blow your head as to why he couldn't prosecute one of the worst paedophiles in UK history.
Obviously knew about the investigation into Jimmy Savile, but I thought at that time that there simply wasn't the evidence, the testimony simply wasn't compelling. Also, Savile did have a great standing with people, and so the threshold for any action taken was always going to be higher, and some of the claims felt slightly frivolous. We felt that threshold wasn't met at that time.
Unbelievable. So he's admitted he knew about, obviously, the investigations. What he's saying first off was, because Jimmy Savile was Jimmy Savile, he had to have a higher threshold before you would commit to pursuing. That's horrific. This is him having a two-tier judiciary 20 years before he was the Prime Minister. He's been two-tier Kier forever then. Why would someone's fame or friends or position in society give you a higher threshold before you would be asked to, arrested and charged with any crime? It's preposterous. And it actually suggests that, quite frankly, some of the complaints seemed frivolous. How dared you? How dare you? Now, what he didn't say is they were all frivolous, right? They're just some of them. So the rest of them weren't frivolous. Yet you failed to put charges towards that man and make him face a judge and jury trial for his crimes. You disgust me. You absolutely disgust me. And the worst part is, the bit to me is the bit about we had to, give him a higher threshold before we charged him. That is absolutely disgusting. And imagine not only being thick enough, right, to sit and stand in front of a camera and actually put the words out your mouth, but imagine being sick enough to have those words in your head to start with. When you, at that time, were the chief prosecutor in England and Wales. And that's all right to you. It's not, you're not even embarrassed by it. It's well, we need a higher threshold because it was Jimmy Savile. It's disgusting. It is absolutely vile. And that, to me, other people might take other things out of that little interview that he'd done. But that was the takeaway for me. So if you're Jimmy Savile or whoever, then, you get a higher threshold to get. Isn't it disgusting that this man has went on to become our Prime Minister? What sort of society do we have when that's the guy that's at the top? And his unashamed opinion is that certain people should have higher thresholds before we charge them through our judicial service. Is it me? Is it? I mean, that's his mentality. He thinks that's all right. Is it any wonder we ended up seeing what we've seen in his first summer as Prime Minister, with a two-tier police, two-tier judiciary, with you controlling it? And you won't think there's anything wrong with that. And then we got the question of the grooming gangs. Did they have a higher threshold just because they weren't white Anglo-Saxon Protestants? Was that where we're going to go next? Is that what we're next going to see an interview pop up regarding? Wouldn't surprise me. But I just cannot for the love of me now look at a man and think anything other than I despise you, when you're basically telling me child abusers, we've got different levels for them before we actually charge them. We're talking about men that abused children. You disgusting, filthy article of a man. You're an excuse of a person and an excuse of a Prime Minister. And quite frankly, how the Labour Party can keep you as their leader baffles me. If you enjoyed this video, thumbs up. If you've not already done so, please hit subscribe and the notifications bells. Please get let me see your opinions below. Always fascinating in there. But most important of all, unless you're the type of treacherous human being, excuse for a human being, that thinks we should have different thresholds for charging adult men who sexually abuse children, not you. But
everyone else, have a great day. Cheerio bye now.
Obviously knew about the investigation into Jimmy Savile, but I thought at that time that there simply wasn't the evidence, the testimony simply wasn't compelling. Also, Savile did have a great standing with people, and so the threshold for any action taken was always going to be higher, and some of the claims felt slightly frivolous. We felt that threshold wasn't met at that time. Obviously knew about the investigation into Jimmy Savile, but I thought at that time that there simply wasn't the evidence, the testimony simply wasn't compelling. Also, Savile did have a great standing with people, and so the threshold for any action taken was always going to be higher, and some of the claims felt slightly frivolous. We felt that threshold wasn't met at that time.